can only discuss items tonight that have a motion attached to them. If you wish to debate an issue, to talk about an issue, we make a motion and we put that issue on the floor. And we can only have motions on the floor that are directly related to something that was in the warrant. The warrant is really important. It warns the town what we're going to talk about. It literally warns the townspeople the things we're going to do tonight. So we can't debate things and we can't talk about things that aren't on that warrant because people who might care about that didn't have a chance to come because it wasn't in the warrant. When it comes time to vote, you should all have wristbands. Mine's kind of slid into my sleeve here, but little red wristbands. You should all have a voting placard. When we do a hand vote, just try to use the wrist with the with the wristband on it. If we have to do a ballot vote, that's when we'll use these ballots. Please do save these. You can't get a second one once we check you in and give you one because then we don't know how many are out there. So it's really important that you don't crumple them up, you don't rip them up. If we need to use those, we'll explain how we're going to do it, but please don't lose them. Generally, if we have, when we actually are going to vote on something, I'll just ask for a voice vote. If I can figure out the outcome based on a voice vote, we're good to go. If not, I may ask folks to raise their hands and I'll estimate the vote from that. If I can't get a really good, confident verdict out of that estimation, I'll ask the tellers to come in and actually help us with a specific hand count. But generally, we don't have to do a whole lot of hand counts. For any questions of process or procedure, if I need some guidance, again, I'll call on town meeting time to help me out. There's kind of an abbreviated version of those rules in the back of the warrant that you can use. Any questions about any of that tonight? You'll notice the microphones are not down front. We're really trying to improve the experience of folks. The microphones are a little bit farther back. That's to keep them away from the speakers. We have a real problem with feedback. Really big speakers in close proximity to microphones doesn't really work well. So our speakers have been moved back. When you speak, if you would go up to the microphone on either side, they are towards the back of the room. That is a little different, but we're trying to cut down on the feedback so we can leave the microphones up. And please try to, it may feel awkward for folks who don't use a microphone often, but you almost have to have the microphone right in front of you. We have really, really good sound systems, but oftentimes folks can't hear, and that's not because the sound system is flawed. It's because we're not always adept. We're not professional public speakers. We need to make sure that we're talking in the microphone when we're talking, especially during when the public is speaking. If there are no questions, I'm actually going to move to the select board for a quick announcement before we start. A quick but important announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I am so pleased tonight to start with this citation for one of our own, Lois Stearns. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to present this to Jack Spanbauer, who's going to speak on behalf of Lois. First of all, there's a letter from Senator Comerford to Lois. Dear Lois, thank you for your more than 32 years of dedicated service on the Northfield Select Board and Northfield Finance Committee. Your dedication and commitment to the town and its residents is widely felt and appreciated by so many in Northfield and beyond. Thank you for your capable and committed leadership and all of the time you've dedicated to excellent public service. I'm proud to represent you in the Senate and present you with a Senate citation. Please feel free to reach out to me or my team if we can ever be of service. Warmest wishes, Joe Comerford. And the official citation, beautifully done, says, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Lois Stearns in recognition of 32 years of dedicated service to the Northfield Select Board and Finance Committee. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereto transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. So I'm going to come down and give this to Jack Spanbauer, and Jack, who also has dedicated many years of service to the town, is going to speak. Thank you.
Lois? Is there an anonymous? Lois asked me to accept this award on her behalf, and I couldn't be more honored to do so. No one merits this recognition more than Lois. I worked with Lois in various capacities for over 20 years and saw how much she contributed to our town. Many residents are not aware how diligently she served Northfield, as much of her efforts were out of the limelight. She served over 30 years as a town official, most of that as chair of the Finance Committee. She would put in many hours preparing for each budget meeting. She attended all the school budget meetings. And until recently, she would meet weekly with the town accountant to review all the numbers. For those of us that remember the 90s and early 2000s, we were up against the levy limit every year. Her attention to detail enabled a budget within the levy limit without cutting services during those lean years. One of her lesser-known efforts over the past 30 years was to review and proof all town meeting warrants. She often found things that needed addressing, even things that the town administrator and our town council may have missed. Her efforts were partially responsible for how efficiently our town meetings have been over the last couple decades. She also served on the select board and on many ad hoc committees. Lois loves Northfield, and all these efforts on behalf of us were a labor of love for Lois. Thank you, Lois, and congratulations on this wonderful and highly deserved recognition.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, B. Lois is definitely a shining star example of civic duty and giving yourself to a town and giving yourself to the public good and really leaning in and doing the hard work that is not necessarily in the limelight but is required to make great towns like this operate. Thank you. Having received a copy of the return warrant and the hour to which the town meeting was called having arrived, the town meeting is now in order. For those who would like, would you join me in rising and saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A little bit, that's all right. Thank you, everybody. Again, any questions before we get going? All right, Article 1, waiving the reading of the warrant.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town waive the reading of the warrant and the notice to the constables and act on the motions of the following articles.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any objection to waiving the reading of the warrant? Seeing none, I'll accept unanimous consent to waive the reading of the warrant. So moved. Article 2, to hear and act upon the reports.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town hear and act upon the reports of the several town officers, boards, committees, and commissions, and trustees.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any objection to unanimous consent to hearing the reports? Seeing none, motion clearly passes. Article 3, on state and federal grants.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to authorize the Select Board to apply for state or federal grants and to expand any monies received as set forth in the appropriate grant application.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any objection to proceeding with unanimous consent on the motion? Seeing none, the motion is passed by unanimous consent. On Article 4, the omnibus budget. This one's you, Bernie.
Okay, thank you. I move the town under the provisions of general laws of Massachusetts, Chapter 41, Section 108, and any amendments thereto, fix the salaries of all elected officials for fiscal year 2024, and raise and appropriate the sums therefore, and the sums for the maintenance of the several departments of the town in accordance with the amount recommended by the Finance Committee as shown in the final column of the warrant, as a grand total of the omnibus article of $9,583,573.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any debate on the item? Yes. Yep. The microphones are a little bit farther back this year.
Joe Gravelin, Old Ferry Road, Northfield, Massachusetts, member of the Northfield Planning Board. I'm seeing in the expense budget here that the year 24 budget will increase by 300% for the planning board. And so, Mr. Moderator, I'm voicing my concerns that that's a significant raise and